Wherever you put the dot is where the round goes. The first use case for the red dot is to eliminate the need to align the front and the rear sight. Cops, army guys, and everyday law-abiding citizens love it. Because under fight or flight response, both of your eyes will remain open to focus right on the threat, and the aiming dot is right there. On a defensive pistol or carbine with no eye relief constraint, it's the easiest to aim. When cops had to focus on a threat, they don't have to line up the iron sights. You see their hands and everything else around instead of tunneling on one glowing dot. When you had to respond to a threat with a 5-star wanted level, adrenaline dumps and your pupils dilate, fine motor skills goes to shit. Aligning these 3 points will be much harder if running or falling down. So the tunnel vision on the threat helps putting the dot on the threat. The best part is these dots can stay on as long as 4 to 5 years, and you don't have to ever turn them off. And now you see more and more cops and everyday citizens with optics on their guns. Red dot for competition. In a speed match like USPSA, the larger the window, the easier it is to do follow-up shot, so the dot doesn't disappear completely, and then you had to fish it and miss your time. You can either increase the window size, or add a big ring around it so you always had that reference point for the eyes to recenter it. Also for someone with aging eyes, red dot is far easier to aim and not having to deal with, let's say, a thick front sight post blocking too much of the target. Red dot for hunting. On a turkey gun, that same no fixed head position trick means a gobbler still catches the pattern even when you're crammed against a tree at an awful angle. And for a brand new shooter, there's simply nothing to line up, and it's the most intuitive to use as training wheel. Dealing with astigmatism. Your eyes are never perfectly round, so a red dot will most likely look a bit refracted than a perfect round dot. They will look smeared or like a starburst completely blocking what you're trying to aim. A big 6 or even 12 MOA dot covers quite a bit if the target is too far away. But up close, it's the best for anyone with mild astigmatism, where the dot appears rounder without getting blown out by the emitter brightness. So it's the fastest to catch the eye, while a 3 MOA is the all-around competition size that'll still thread a partial target at 30 yards. Go bigger for pure speed up close, like the huge dots steel shooters run on closer to you, and use the smaller only when you're stretching the gun out and can't afford to block the target. The circle dot. So wrap a big ring around a small dot. It guides your eye instantly to the center. So up close, you just throw the ring on the threat or a steel plate and fire, and that tiny 1 MOA dot is there when you need it to be super precise. And it doesn't block what you're aiming. For this one, a shotgun can benefit from it, even though it doesn't necessarily correspond to the shot spread. But it's the speed and visibility that you're using this for. High contrast dot clarity. On a sunny range day in the desert, having a reticle that blend in too much in the background may not be a good idea. It's not the worst, but it may look a bit washed out when wearing sunglasses. The use case for a green dot just has that more distinct color that separates the reticle from the background. Competitive shooters that go from one target to another also subconsciously benefit from using their peripheral vision to track the streak of the green dot with bare minimum brightness level as they index the next target. But they can also wash out against something like a white painted steel targets that appear very glossy under the sun, which in this case, a red one works better. Using holographic ranging reticle to ballpark target distance. Imagine a military-age male that far away, and you have no idea how far he is. Using a small dot, it might be hard to tell, and you're just eyeballing it with no reference at all. But by adding a ring around it, you can now size the target like a ruler, and know roughly how far he is. A red dot user who hates a blurry reticle. So you went to the range and forgot your glasses, and a regular red dot looks blurry and you can't aim, and the battery is dead. A target that far away benefits from a crisp prism sight or a scope, and it can literally give you any type of aiming reticle, and it's etched right on the glass so you can see clearly. Whereas a red dot appears as you're looking at it standing 20 feet away. So if your vision is bad, that explains why a reflex reticle appears blurry. You dial the eyepiece to your own eye like on a binoculars, and pull that etched reticle into sharp focus. Something like a Trigicon keeps it at a fixed 3 times or 4 times, to handle anything between 100 up to 400 yards. Extending the range of a 1x power red dot. So you love your red dot and you don't want to give up that speed, but you also can't see your target further out even with a small, tiny dot. So someone came up with the idea to put a magnifier scope right behind it, and you can also flip it out of the way when you don't need it, so it's dot alone for everything close. Then you flip in 3 power glass and you're looking at that same dot up close enough to actually place a good shot. What most people don't realize is that this can also help better zero your red dot if you want to zero it at 100 yard with much finer aim than without using it. So your dot could be placed here, but if you zoom in, it's actually aimed here, and you would never know if you don't use a magnifier. When a magnifier is still not enough to see further. The same guy takes this gun to this gunfight, but the guy at 600 yards away is giving him a hard time, and he is screaming for some higher magnification to at least see him. Almost like a sniper scope, but not cluttered because he isn't dialing the scope. This is why the low variable power scope has its use case here, and each crowd leans on it a little differently. In 3-gun, the whole match rides on that 1 power being truly 1 power, with a dot bright enough to see in direct sun so you can smash the close targets like a red dot with the illuminated horseshoe that draws the eye to the center. Some use an infinite fine aiming tip like the chevron, so it's less annoying to see targets blocked by like a thick crosshair type of reticle. Think about a SWAT situation, or someone in a military-designated marksmanship role, where they need something a bit more robust than a red dot magnifier setup for something between 0 and 600. These reticles are red dot and precision scope hybrids that can benefit someone like a 3-gun shooter greatly for hitting things up close, and also have the ability to hold for targets further away with a simple bullet drop compensator. Hunting under low light. Picture a thick deer at 40 to 120 yards, with just a few more minutes of sunlight right before it goes dark, and you have maybe a few seconds to take that shot. Having a cluttered reticle won't do you any good in this situation. You want something much cleaner, like a duplex reticle that buys you speed with a super clean sight picture and trades absolute precision against a darker forest background. The thick aiming posts drag your eye to center fast, and they stay visible to a certain extent before complete darkness, while the thin center wire is fine enough not to cover up a small aiming point. Holding over for a bullet drop for non-trained snipers. So you had to hit 3 targets at 100, 300, and 400 with a tiny red dot, but you wish you knew exactly where to hold to hit so you don't have to eyeball it or to think like a professional sniper. This is where a bullet drop compensator reticle is for, that is calibrated for a specific bullet, so where you hold, you don't have to guess. So this bridges the use case where you need to be fast and accurate at long range, but not so accurate that you need to calculate ballistics like a sniper, like counting on that 1-shot, 1-kill type of precision. Some even get built into a magnifier to make a red dot more capable at longer distance than just zooming in. But here's the catch if you don't pay attention. Those marks are calibrated to 1 bullet type. If you change things, then the point of aim and point of impact will drift apart the further you go out. So a BDC is perfect for a hunter or a plinker running the exact load it's cut for, where you just want to hold and go. Shoot mixed ammo or chase real distance, and you want a reticle that measures instead of eyeballing. 1-shot, 1-kill use case to be super accurate. A sniper missed a shot by 7 inches to the left of the point of aim on paper from 600 yards away, but nothing on the scope lets him to simply dial 7 inches to make that correction. Instead, he has to do some basic high school math to convert that 7 inches to the number of clicks on the turret to offset that 7 inches from where he is. So thanks to his spotter that already did the math and tells him to dial roughly 5 clicks to the right. This is where a Christmas tree reticle that looks this clutter comes into use, where the lines are like rulers formatted either in milliradian or minute of angle. These are not meant to be used as bullet drop compensators. Instead, a sniper uses his dope card to reference the drop in minute of angle, or milliradian, to either hold or dial. Now he looks at the center of the reticle and he hits the target. Or he can simply count 1 1/4 minute of angle on the reticle and just hold and squeeze. The best part is that all these can be calibrated for a specific bullet and gun, unlike a fixed bullet drop compensator that are made to be close enough. Holding with more precision involving wind. On a long-range match stage, you got some steals at 3, 5, and 800 yards. There is some wind blowing across the field with some gust and a clock running. You have no time to dial the turret, but you need some type of visual aid to help you hold for the wind. If there is nothing there, then you have to maybe count and hope not to get lost. But there is some visual aid like this Horus refined mil-dot reticle that has some wind hold points that you'll ever need right in the glass. It's basically a beefed-up Christmas tree reticle to help you hold without having to dial. Not to confuse the grid with bullet drop compensator, but they provide way better drop compensation once you have an established dope data. So if a target is at 750 yards, as an example, if that drop is roughly 5.2 mils, so then you trace where 5.2 mil is on the reticle, and you aim there. If there is a 10-mile wind from the left, then you hold into the wind using milliradian conversion, and that gives you the wind hold. Now you don't dial anything, because whatever the range and wind, there's a spot on that grid and you just hold it. All it's required of you is you know the distance and reference your dope. Luckily, a ballistic app can do all of that for you. So with this one at 500, you hold here. With this one at 700, you hold here. This one, you hold here. Now the most confusing to a beginner, but yet the simplest thing to understand once you see this visually, and that is, what the heck is a first focal or a second focal point scope? Imagine if all these lines are not scaled properly when you zoom the magnification. Then you just skewed all of your hold correction. Watch this when I zoom in. This reticle no longer holds true at any of these distances. It only stays true at its maximum power, and this is what we call the second focal point scope. But this one here? Watch when it zooms in and out. The reticle scales as the magnification power changes. And this is what we call the first focal point scope, and it's used on only precision rifles. Maybe you don't always need to zoom all the way in at 25 or 35x power. Maybe you just need something at 9x and still have a good sight picture. So that one thing makes picking the first focal point a reason that many beginners never consider. All right, congrats! Now you have a basic understanding on what these reticle does, or you can check out these videos right here.